What's going on, gamers? And welcome back to another episode of the Koop'd podcast. The podcast that leaves their face masks out to dry in the sun.
I knew it.
instead of the dryer.
I knew it. Why do you gotta put me on the table like, oh, no. You don't even understand. I was coming into this show with a big old bangaroo, hey, buckaroo, how are you? Surprise for you, big man. And then you're gonna come in and roast me first? Are you joking?
I wish I had like the record scratch sound to like edit into the podcast right now, so I can just like edit that in over you just like storming in for me hanging out to dry like that. But yes, folks, hello, it's the Koop'd podcast.
Literally hang it out to dry.
It's true. It's true. And yeah, like every week I sit down with one of my friends. We talk about all the happenings of pop culture and how we're keeping ourselves busy in these trying times. And as always, folks, I'm your host, Koopa. And this week, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long time coming. I have a very special guest with me this week. He's an esports commentator, a YouTuber, the host of the Double D Experience, and my adopted son from the Super Smash Bros. Community. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm, cooped up welcome for Nintoonist, my friend. How are you?
You know, I'd sit here and ask how you're doing, but, you know, you're already, you know, you're feeling well and jolly, ain't you?
I'm great.
Aren't you feeling fantastic? What this man was referencing, all right, is that, you know, some people like to be a little conservative, maybe not waste energy or do laundry every single time they need to wash or dry one of their face masks. I left one of my face masks outside to dry in the sun, okay? And it was a sunny day, it was warm, it was an efficient way to do it without having to hang them in my house or anything. It's as appropriate to the news today of our beloved Nintendo mascot passing away. It's a little rainy outside right now, it's kind of muddy, and I forgot that one of the masks was out there. And it was on the floor, at the ground, whatever you call the thing below us when we walk outside instead of inside. And this guy just thinks it's the funniest thing in the world that one of my favorite face masks got left in the mud. It was my Rise Cold Brew face mask. It's like my favorite one. And it's just dry. Ugh. Kyle, why don't you just go ahead and ask your famous questions that you have on this podcast? Because I already know you got a couple in line for me. In all seriousness, though, I'm more than ecstatic to be here. I've wanted to be on your podcast for a while. I'm very happy and proud of you that you're making content like you've strived to do for quite some time. And I mean, I guess we'll get a little bit more into the sappy stuff in a minute when you ask your typical cooped up questions, because I got my Guinness in hand. I'm trying to get a little cooped up right now. If I'm being completely honest. Yeah, no, this is the one I posted on Twitter the other day, the one that's infused with like nitro cold brew coffee.
Oh my god. Oh yeah,
this is literally
seeing that.
Yeah, this is Guinness and coffee, which are like two of my favorite things in the world combined together. And I will be honest, not half bad.
Nice. Well, that's good. Yeah, like listen, I always recommend people, you know, to get cooped up on a Wednesday. That's the day we record and stuff like that. But yeah, me and Nintoonist were again, this is an idea of me. You host a podcast, I host a podcast. We've coexisted as friends and colleagues and whatever in between for a while now. It was inevitable. And again, I have to ask the question, like I ask every week for my sanity. David, we're friends, right? We're very much friends.
I freaking hate this guy.
Yeah. Hey.
You don't understand what we're actually going for here. I regret to inform all of you listening to this right now, this is the last episode of the Koop'd podcast. Because we're canceling this man right now. Y'all ready for this? Let's go.
Oh, no.
This guy right here. We've been talking about it for a while, since before I started the Double D Experience, which is my podcast that I host with my good longtime friend Dennis. I told this guy about my podcast a little while before he was talking about his. And this guy, this freaking dude that you're listening to right now, that you probably follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever you're listening to, this guy had the audacity to announce his podcast on the same exact day that I was going to announce mine. As if I wasn't already, you know, the second or third, you know, more well-known like Jersey commentator. I wrote up on this guy's jock. He taught me so much of what he knows. I responded to, you know, Jack's, tweet when he was saying, like this comment and I'll either praise you or roast you. And he said, oh, no matter what you do, you'll always be in Koopa's shadow, David.
Oh my God.
That's what he said. And then you did that. I thought he was just memeing, but no, apparently the guy's like a prophet, some sort of messiah, because this guy literally, unbeknown to him, announced his podcast at the same day that I was going to drop mine. So naturally, I announced mine the next day. Didn't get nearly as much attention as the Koop'd podcast all of a sudden. So you know what? I don't care if it's years old at this point. Express how old you are in Smash words, how long you've been in the community. I'm bringing it back. Hashtag ban Koopa. I'm done. We're bringing it back. It's a dinosaur at this point. I don't care. I'm starting a new petition, all right?
Do you
I
know
hate this guy. No, we're not friends. Screw you.
Wow. All right, that's going to be it for us today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining in. Cue the outro music. Yeah! No, okay. No, but yeah.
All seriousness. I absolutely love this guy, and I've honestly idolized him before I became a commentator, and I do as a person in some senses as well, because Kyle is just a wonderful guy all around. He's always caring to his friends and everything. I am his metaphorical son, as he said. This guy taught me so much of what I know about commentary. He always believed in me, no matter how many times I would probably, say something dumb on the microphone sitting right next to him, and he's trying hard not to cringe, whatever, on my come up. I owe a lot to this guy, and above even just, commentary career-wise, he's been there for me in some of my absolute darkest moments. There have been times where I've vented to him about personal stuff, and he doesn't shy an eye to that. Even if it's not just advice, he'll always be the guy to just at least listen as well. So all memes aside, and yeah, I mean, the boat's already rolling. The hashtag's already probably trending on Twitter right now. It's probably already hit the masses. I'm sure some celebrities. I'm sure Joe Biden will tweet back at it eventually. It'll catch on. No,
cut the malarkey, Jack. We got to ban Koopa.
We are absolutely friends, Kyle. And I'm honored to have called you my friend for a really long time, and I owe a lot to you as a person and as a mentor, both in and out of the game of Smash and commentary. So, no meme. Yes, we're friends.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate that. And yes, we've it's number one. It blows my mind that you've legitimately been around enough to remember the ban Koopa stuff. Because my God, it kind of just puts into perspective how old we really are. We've been at. I mean, I've been at this from, I think it's going on 6 years now. I started doing this when I was 20, 6 or 7 years. So. I've had some dirt in some blood into dirt for a while, and yeah, listen, as someone who was thrust into a position of notoriety because I was filling a void, and I don't know, I guess I can make meme into microphone well on the internet, haha, profit. And you touch base with a lot of the other people. I still remember the tournament that we met each other at. That was a weekly Super Smash Brothers tournament in Paramus, New Jersey.
I was just thinking about it, man. Because I knew this was going to come up before I even was going to be able to mention it. Yes, me and Kyle met at a tournament called Smash Forever back in the day. This was a Smash 4 weekly that was hosted by RJ, who you all know and love at this point, and and it was a really fun weekly tournament series that we had. It was my first ever tournament ever. I remember I went 1 and 2. I lost to some Fox in losers, I think. I ran into an old friend of my sister's at that tournament. That was also really strange. And yeah, no, I remember that. And more than anything on my way in, because I was doing YouTube at the time, or at least the kind of YouTube videos that I used to do, because a little long ago, I was a very avid YouTuber when I was trying to, really make that more of a thing. And when I saw that there was less a live stream, there was just a microphone and stuff, and people were able to just, cast the Smash action while, the players were able to play right there. I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I never had any problem being in front of a camera. I've done stage performances and such before and whatnot. I was the lead in my school's musical, the one and only time I ever did a musical. You can imagine how nerve-wracking that was on a kid. Yeah. I had my first kiss in that music. I had my first kiss in that musical. So, Sarah, if you're listening to this, what's up? How's it going? That was fun. Yeah, thank you for giving me the stereotypical sitcom first kiss episode, but in real life. I very much appreciate that. Thank you so much. But yeah, when I saw that was a thing, I told myself, I'm like, I need to do that. I'm absolutely supposed to be doing this, man. I have no problem being in front of a camera. I love to talk. To I love to broadcast. It's why I have my podcast, and it's why I did YouTube for as long as I did. I even majored in communications when I went to college. So that's how I knew I had to do it. And I always idolized whoever was sitting behind those chairs at a damn ambulance house in Paramus.
Yeah.
I thought that was the most prestigious thing at the time, as like a new person to the tournament, just crawling up into the woodwork and whatnot. I'm just like, oh my God, that's where the big boy shit. And at the time, because it's the Koop'd Up podcast, you know, I'm already getting a little cooped up. I already said it. At the time, it was a big dream of mine to cast with Koopa. I'm just gonna say it. I really wanted to cast with Koopa.
That's right, baby.
And that dream came true because this guy legitimately believed in me and gave a chance on me. I mean, there was a time where I was new to commentary. I didn't know what I was doing. I was saying some dumb stuff. I remember one time I was commentating a timeout, and I didn't know how to commentate a timeout. I'm like, there's nothing going on. This is boring. So I was just memeing like a tomfoolery level jackass. And I got grilled for that by some people. And I knew, and you know, I was upset about it at first because I was young and I didn't know how to take criticism. But then they told me what they really meant by that. And they were just trying to, you know, not only humble me, but like, you know, teach me how to be better, because they did believe in me that I could be better. You know, not just the TOs, but Kyle was telling me that, especially, that we're doing this because we care. And my God, that hit home in a way that only made me aspire to grow, and also taught me a very important lesson in humility in growing as a commentator, or growing at anything, really. So that was a very important, not only wake-up call, but a good lesson that I was taught by this guy you're listening to right here. So I know I already said it, Kyle, but thank you so much for that again, because I came a long way because of you.
No, of course, man. And listen, it's something that, you know, I never have an issue talking about it because I love it. You know, we've both been in the dirt for a while now, like I said, and I think it was, you know, as someone that has been there before, you know, in your shoes, where like you're the new guy, and like you don't really understand like the execution of certain things, or like you don't understand the procedural parts of like the job that you're doing and whatever. So like it's really easy to get lost and get discouraged on yourself, because you know your reading is all criticism is like, as oh God, I'm doing terrible. Like what am I doing here? And then, you know, it's just nice to have those people that'll just nudge you in the right direction and be like, no, like you're doing fine. You just got to do this. And, you know, fast forward to now, and now, you know, now look at us. We're inseparable. We've well, separable by means of a global pandemic, but you know, for the most part, we spent a lot of time together, and you know, lots of sleepless nights in hotel rooms quoting SpongeBob and Shrek, and car rides across the country and whatnot. And yeah, listen, man, you've grown from you're one of the ones that made it. You're one of the ones that I was a fan, and now we're friends, and now I know where I live.
Oh, and it's not a good thing that I do.
And we do not dox on this podcast, not again.
I was gonna say, you know, you've made it and you're able to be close friends with somebody when you could be all groggy, waking up from like a late night of gaming, watching dumb movies at a major or something, and you can just like roll over like out of bed like while everybody's just waking up and instantly say something like, "Open up, it's time for the pill," and then just smack the bed or the table or whatever, and then everyone in the room just starts laughing. That's how you know. That's how you know you're in the presence of good company and good family and whatnot. And those are the kinds of things that I've always appreciated about, you know, the Smash community and my time in it more than just about anything else. So yeah, it's definitely been a wild ride, my friend. And I'm like I said, I'm blessed to have had like a mentor that's been as great as you. So yeah, moving on from that. Unfortunately, today is a bit of a dark day.
It
Kyle.
is. Yeah, it is. And but before we talk about the bad news, we did get one question in this week, David. And it is a question from a good friend of both of ours. He goes by the tag of Atomisk92 on Twitter.
Oh, Atomsk.
Yeah, Atomsk92, and he asks, as I get the question up in front of me, the magic of editing, he says, what animal comparable to your size do you think you'd have the closest one-on-one fight with while coming out the winner?
Who? You want to answer this first, or you want me to do it?
I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and like I'm very much a lover, not a fighter, and I'm deeply terrified of things that are even slightly bigger than me. So I was thinking, there has to be something in the animal kingdom that I could take. I was searching through like zoo articles and like, episodes of Animal Planet or whatever, and like I'm just like, there has to be something around the size of like 5'4", like 5'6" that I could like probably take. And the answer is, I'm gonna go with a a polar bear after a long night's drinking. Let's go with that.
You know that as my friend, I believe in you in pretty much every aspect, Kyle. I don't believe you could take out a polar bear even after a long night of drinking. It's a goddamn polar bear. It's gonna reach out from the inside of you like Kano from Mortal Kombat and fucking fatality you into an oblivion that is rivaled only by the tearing of Bucephalus on a bad day. No, you can't do that. I'm telling you. Here we go.
The African buffalo. I think I could take it.
I think that's even worse. I think you have even less of a chance of you know how hard they are?
Yeah, but I'm built different, David.
Okay.
Maybe a moose?
All right,
a moose? Moose?
Yeah,
maybe?
a moose you could probably do.
I could definitely see, because they're Canadian by inheritance. So they'll apologize before they, get around to eventually murdering me in cold blood, because mooses are terrifying creatures and majestically beautiful creatures.
Oh, sorry, eh? I didn't realize you were here for Get On My Level, eh? You're just gonna get on the highway and go that way, and say hi to Vicky for me. I know she's casting that event. She's a friend of mine, eh? She was at the zoo. Yeah, that horrible joke aside, what I could do, honestly, and I've actually talked about this before. I've talked about this before on my podcast because I was asked a question by, I don't even remember who it was at this point, but it was a question asked to me on my podcast: how many kangaroos could we take in a fight? And my answer to that was a very realistic and whopping, resounding none. Because those things their feet are like, they're bigger than my lungs. Their feet are, and pretty much the entirety of my torso, and also probably the size of my soul. It could kick it out easily along with my rib cage on even a bad day for a kangaroo. So this is a hard one, Kyle, because I'm 6'5". All right, so if we're talking about animals that are strictly my size, there aren't exactly any, animals in the animal kingdom that are as tall as I am, yet skinny as I am as well. It's not really a thing. Most
maybe like an ostrich. Maybe
an ostrich, or real talk, the one I could easily probably take out if I was pissed off enough and probably cooped up enough is a flamingo.
Ooh,
that's my height. I could probably destroy a flamingo, because not only are they peaceful creatures, but they are the size of me, and they are also very skinny. I imagine that if I was angry enough and had played enough Metal Gear Solid the night before, I could easily put it in a chokehold and snap every part of its neck. This is a violent question, dude. I'm like uncomfortable answering this. Adamus, you're messed up in the head, man.
Yeah, that was
this kind of question.
Thank you again to Adamus92 for that riveting question. And of course, folks, if you ever want your question answered by me and whoever my guest is going to be that week, you can tweet at us at Coop'dUpPod or email us at Coop'dUpPod@gmail.com. So to get all that fun stuff out of the way. But
you remember when Angel asked if the water was free?
Man.
If you want to talk back to, like my come up where I came from, those late night Jersey diners. Wow. That's the realness right there, man. Oh, take me back. Take me back to that.
I'm feeling a certain way right now, for sure. But
that's a genuine question, I guess.
Man, the answer is yes. The water's always free, and please don't ever ask that again. But yeah, listen. So that takes care of that part of the program. And again, like David just mentioned, today is a somber day at the time of recording this podcast. It is the day that Mario dies.
Sorry about this calendar.
Yeah, yeah. So,
March 31st,
yes,
the day that Mario dies.
the day SpongeBob moves, and also the day that Mario dies. But yeah, so at the time of recording this, the Mario 35th collection is going back into whatever the Nintendo equivalent of the Disney Vault is. The game will no longer be available for purchase, whether it be physical or digital. All of the Mario 35 stuff is going away. Mario's been celebrating his 35th birthday since October, so he's done. We're done here, and all that stuff. So, David, as the resident Mario guy, like literally, you're like you're one of like two people that come to mind that when I think of Mario, and the other one is PK Sparks, and he's already been on my podcast. So now I've got both parts of the Mario coin on my podcast. So what's your take on? Do you think you're gonna wake up tomorrow or like sometime next week, and Mario's 35 collection will be available like somewhere else eventually? What do you think?
I'm curious, man. I mean, there's definitely going to be people at this point, since it's going to be off the market, and who might be hoarding it a little bit, considering that you're not going to even be able to buy it anywhere else at this point. To put it in perspective for all of you listening, I mean, if there was ever any proof, which there already was before, that Nintendo hates money and loves scalpers, this is it. Because not only are they taking a product directly off of the shelf this time that you won't be able to buy it from them, now the only place you will be able to buy it from is that seedy looking guy on Facebook Marketplace. It's like it's a direct correlation at this point. And trust me, we'll be talking about, Mario a little bit more on this podcast later on, and I'm going to be correlating some of what I'm saying now up until that point as well. I think it's just an interesting thing for Nintendo's business practices, man, because like everybody can say it's a bad idea, which I would agree with. I think it's dumb. You leave it on the shelf, you make money. I don't understand why you're so obsessed with the spectacle of it being on the shelf for that specific amount of time. And I promise you, as one of your ambassadors, Nintendo, somebody who was literally out there selling your games to the people that you hired for the holiday season, I promise you, nobody cares. Nobody feels any more special that they bought this game within the specific time frame. If they missed it for whatever reason, I'm sure they would love to buy it on April 1st, but then have it pulled away from them since it's April Fool's Day. So maybe the next day after that, if that's a little bit better for them. I don't understand it. I mean, maybe, honest to God, that they left it on the shelf for as long as they did, or had it be like a specific limited time only thing, specifically so it would, drive up sales. Be like, oh, you better get it. You better get it because it's going to go at a certain time frame, and then you'll miss out on it. Because hell, it not only worked for me, it worked for Gons, bro. Gons was mad. He was Twitter fingering. He was like all sorts of Twitter fingers when the announcement dropped for like the triple special, because he was like, oh, the thing with 3D All Stars is that like they're all direct ports. They're not really touched up too much in many other ways. Galaxy looks better. Sunshine is in like a different sort of resolution, but Mario 64 is frame locked. Or like aspect ratio, resolution locked, my mistake. And a lot of people were very upset about that because the price tag for the game was still $60, which a lot of people didn't really like. But guess what? He still bought it.
Yeah.
Because he knew that it was going away. It worked like a charm. So if I had to put like my 2 cents as to it, I think it's dumb that they're taking it away. But if their strategy was to leave it on the shelf for a specific amount of time in the hopes that people would be scared that they're going to miss out on it, well, guess what? It worked, because I'm 90% sure it's like a top 10 selling Switch game of all time now. So it's Nintendo, man. No risks. They make a buck no matter what asinine backwards business decisions they do. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you said there. It's kind of crazy that like Nintendo was just like, they just kind of like threw a grenade into the room and like walked away and expected like good things to happen. Now granted, I will say, compared to like other scalpable things like amiibos and like, next generation consoles, like things that I have a higher chance of getting struck by lightning than finding in a store right now in some instances. I never had an issue like going into a store and seeing a physical copy of the Mario 35, like the Mario like 3D collection. Like I bought the game digitally just because like, I just wanted to have it and whatever. but whenever I'd go like grocery shopping at like Target or something like that, I just like walk through the game section because I have a crippling addiction and I need help. And I'd look in they'd have it like front and right on the side aisle by the kiosks and stuff like that, and there'd always be something there. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, is the game even really scalpable because there's just so much of the product available? Now granted that was 2 months ago when the game still had shelf life and wasn't going away forever, but I mean, I don't know, maybe the prices will hike up now because they're taking them off the shelves and whatever, but I don't know. It's definitely an interesting dynamic. How have you beaten the whole thing yet? How many of the 3D games have you played so far?
Well, it's actually kind of a special experience for me, not just because I love Mario. Like, I would have bought it no matter what, and I felt no shame in buying that. Don't be shaming other people's buying practices if they're big Mario fans or whatever have you. It was a special experience for me because through this collection, I 100% completed Mario Sunshine for the first time in my life. I had never 100%ed it when I was a child or anything like that. I just, I was young enough. I started running around because God knows when you have 118 shines, you're not finding those last 2 blue coins in whatever world for you to be able to find them in. You're going to have to dig a little deep in your soul and probably through your wallet to buy a physical guide for you to read through, so you to find those things. It was, oh my God, what a nail-wrenching process, man. It's like pretty much like the physical video game equivalent of just like scratching your nails on a chalkboard in the hopes that you'll eventually get something right, whatever teacher's math questions ask you. No. God, I had to look up a guide again. I had to do it. Because the blue coins in that game are just, for anyone who doesn't know, which I'm sure you do, Sunshine is ass. I love that game, but it's ass. It's booty buns ass, birth to booty level Chris Clay Omega cheeks. It's just that game. I love it to death, but in my opinion, it's not only Mario without the polish. The biggest problem with that game, in my opinion, is that too many of the coins are not coins. Too many of the shine sprites that you have to collect for 100% completion are reliant on you collecting every blue coin in the game and then purchasing them at a shine house where blue coins are the currency. And the game never hints at where the blue coins are because they're hidden in all sorts of ways, whether you have to spray them from graffiti off a wall, whether you have to defeat a certain enemy, or if it's just really high up in a place that you need the rocket nozzle to get to at a part of the game where you haven't unlocked the damn thing yet. There's no telling where any of them are. And if that wasn't bad enough, some of them are only available to access in certain missions. And then some of them are available in every mission. And there's literally no way of finding out which one it is unless you scour the entire damn map in every individual mission. A child doesn't have the time for that. That's asinine. Nobody wants to completely scour through an entire giant overworld 8 times to find one item that they need for 100% completion. That's just stupid. And it's better off to just... I hate it. I literally... the fact that I had to look up a guide as an adult is just proof of that. And you want to know the worst part of all of it before we even move on to anything else? And you know this. You've told me this story more than anyone else, Kyle, when we were talking about how Sunshine's like the best one.
Yeah.
You get nothing for 100%ing Mario Sunshine. You get such a huge reward for 100%ing every 3D Mario game in every other 3D Mario game except for the hardest one, which is Sunshine. I don't understand it. I don't know what place Nintendo was in at the time. Maybe it was going through some shit. Maybe they were going through a divorce. Maybe whatever, Miyamoto's just had some shit going on in his life. Maybe it was drugs. Maybe it was like a relationship problem, because that man wasn't right in the head when he decided that blue coins were a good idea. Fuck blue coins. Please die.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree with you 100%. I haven't gone back to play Sunshine yet, and I think it's because I'm dreading any sort of having to find blue coins or anything like that. And we've talked about it at length. I've said it in person and on other places on the internet. I wasted an entire summer of my life 100%ing this game, and I too looked at a guide. This is definitely a guide game. Like
Oh, yeah.
it 100 lends itself well to that, especially if you're trying to 100% it. And there's no shame in that, whatever. Let people play their games the way they want to. If I want to have my hand held, both hands and a foot, like forget about it. Let me live my fucking life, man. But yeah, especially with like some of those later blue coins, it's like asinine. And I'm not looking forward to playing this game. I thought about streaming it, but I'm like, no, because I don't want to get angry. And I'm just going to play this game on my own time eventually. And, I earnestly wait for a second Super Mario Sunshine game, which I'll never get. But, it is such delight that we live. But however, David, in preparation for this podcast, and just for some backstory here, when I was in the planning phases of this podcast, over the summer and stuff like that for, content ideas and so on and so forth. I just really wanted an avenue to like talk about like things that I like, whether it be, television or movies or video games and stuff like that. And I played a game over the summer that I really enjoyed, and the public reception of it was not great. It was a game that you and I had plans to talk about in an audio medium, and I guess technically a video medium if you're watching it on YouTube. By the way, watch us on YouTube. And if
just staring at the still picture the whole time.
Yeah. Oh boy. It's art.
It'll move eventually.
One of these days we'll figure it out. But yeah, so I guess now it's time to get into at least one of the main things I want to talk about today is that you just beat Paper Mario: The Origami King. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Well, first,
I did 2 days ago.
Yeah, so just to set the stage for you guys, I really wanted to talk about Paper Mario: The Origami King, back when it first came out, but I didn't have the means and devices to do so yet, so I definitely put that on the back burner. And I beat the game back in, it came out I think in like late July, and I beat it over the summer. I watched one of my friends play it for their stream, and they beat the game. So I've technically watched 2 playthroughs of the game, and you just played it. And if you're not familiar with what Paper Mario is a spin-off of the typical Mario variety, where instead of, platforming and jumping around and, fighting enemies that way in a standard Mario game, it is a 2.5D art role-playing game. I think is the best way to describe it, which is exactly what it is. You play as a paper version of Mario, hence the name Paper Mario, and you traverse across these great lands. There's story, there's partner characters in certain games, and you each battle, instead of it being you jump onto Goomba's head and they explode, it's a turn-based jumping onto Goomba's head and they explode, a la most RPGs like Pokemon and Final Fantasy. And stuff like that. I said it. I said it for you. I said it just for you, David. There's a drink for everybody, so I expect a sip of that alcohol right now.
Yes, I never mentioned this on the podcast yet, but I will be taking a shot of my drink that I have here every single time Kyle says and stuff like that. Or every time he concludes one of his sentences with and stuff like that, or says the word media or quarantine. Those 3 words. I'm taking a shot every time, and if it goes as I predicted, I'm gonna be real cooped up by the end of this show. I'm gonna be real cooped up tonight.
That's all according to my master plan. But yeah, so I'll start by asking you, David, what is your history? Because I know you're obviously a huge Mario fan yourself. What's your history with the Paper Mario series?
Well, my history with it would probably be when I was very young, right? At my neighbor's house. And I'm talking like very, very young, like 4 years old, little dumbass child drooling on the controller, walking around in circles and being entertained for hours at the little red hat man doing absolutely nothing in the game. Playing the original Paper Mario at my neighbor's house. And then when I was, I think, 7 years old, something like that, is when I had a GameCube. My mom bought me a GameCube when I was 6, I think. And that was around the time, 2004. When a little game by the name of Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door came out. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this game, as there are many people who still constantly praise it, despite the fact that game, Kyle, is almost 20 years old, dude.
Wow.
already.
That's wild.
Yeah, no, we are gonna die. Me and you.
Together.
Like dead. Oh my. I got some new affairs to put in order. Do you want to be buried next to me,
Oh, gotta go.
Kyle? you brought it up. You brought it up. Okay, well, I brought up death.
You're
Well,
right. I did.
whatever. Point is, game is old as hell. So it gets constantly praised, and rightfully so. It's godlike. I think it's one of easily one of the best Mario RPGs. Very low key, one of the best RPGs Nintendo has ever made, and just I think one of the best RPGs in general. And that game is beloved for so many reasons, right? It's got such an immaculate story and even more immaculate soundtrack. Wonderful, like luscious characters filled with character development and arcs and different abilities that you can use that add such depth to the gameplay. Beautiful overworlds, a wonderful story and game progression, an immaculate battle system on top of that. Like that game was like damn near perfect. Honest to God, like a ton of collectibles you could get. It was amazing. And Paper Mario has just been such an experimental series for Nintendo because the next game was like sort of a platformer with an EXP system, and then the next game was absolute garbage, covered in fire, and then the game after that was just absolute garbage with no fire. And then the most recent one was Origami King, which is I think the one that is more warranting of discussion than any of the Paper Mario games, which is why I'm very glad that we're going to be able to talk about it now. Now, Kyle, do you want to list your thoughts on Origami King first before I speak my own piece? Because obviously I want this to be a give and take here, you know, as I'm sure you do as well. Like,
Sure.
I'm not going to have some place where I'm going to either constantly praise this game or constantly vent about it on somebody else's podcast necessarily. I'm assuming you want this to be a discussion since I finally finished the game, which this guy has been begging. He's been like, maybe not begging, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but every single time he asks, like, oh, dude, did you complete Origami King yet? And I'm just like, no. Like, I've gone months without playing it, and I finally finished it 2 days ago, and this game came out in July, mind you, so there you go. So, do you want to list your thoughts on the game first, Kyle, or would you, well, how do you want to do this?
So, I'll start by giving my, then just for context sake, we can't really talk about the full extent of this game without spoiling it. So, if by any means you were interested in purchasing Paper Mario: The Origami King, I will give my spoiler-free recommendation. I think you should buy it. Listen, as I've said this to, and let me know what you think about this take, David. I feel like being a Sonic fan has prepared me in spades
Immediately relates
to being a Paper Mario fan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Those earlier games were great. There's, people always say that there's 2 good Sonic games, maybe 3 good Sonic games, and I will damn well say that there is now 3 good Paper Mario games. Well, yeah, no, there's 4. There's 4 good Paper Mario games. Because we don't talk, and because like I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like the first 2 games are critically renowned. Paper Mario 1 and The Thousand Year Door are masterpieces. They're great games. Everybody should play them. I love Super Paper Mario. I will die on that hill. That game is great. It's got the best story in a Paper Mario game, and you and I agree on that take.
Great facts, no printer.
It's a beautifully written game. The characters are fantastic. It's a lot of fun. Sticker Star is
I will always love you, Timpani.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Perfection.
Yeah,
my heart.
Yeah,
my ass. They're convecting.
It's true. There's shapes. Yeah, stickers and Sticker Star
your
sucks.
heart and your ass to feel incredible. Play Super Paper Mario. Yes, continue, Kyle.
Yeah, Sticker Star sucks. And the only other Paper Mario, I guess it kind of counts as a Paper Mario game, is Paper Jam. Does that count? Do you count that as a Paper Mario game?
You're missing Color Splash. You're missing Color
That's
Splash.
Right.
The Wii U one, which neither of us have played.
I have not played, and I would like to play it at some point because I hear it's fine.
Yeah, me too. But
I would just for the culture. I would like to go back and play it because it looks colorful and fun. Like I will say, I'll get into some of my criticism of Origami King in a bit, but I don't know, something about like the very like something felt very vibrant and colorful about Color Splash. Maybe it's just because it's paint based and stuff like that, but I don't know. It looks fun to eat, probably not to play with, but and then yeah, I guess Paper Jam is another one that comes to mind, but I don't know if you quantify that as a Mario and Luigi.
It's a Mario and Luigi game that has Paper Mario in it. It plays like the Mario and Luigi games, not a Paper Mario game at all. It's like a crossover, but the gameplay is like, if you've played Paper Jam, which have you?
I have not. I was actually I picked up a new 2DS XL like a couple of months ago because I know that I lost my other one, broke, so I had to get another one. So I figured, maybe I'll play that game, go back to hit some of the stops that I missed when the 3DS first came out. But no, I have not played that game yet.
Recommend it. It's definitely the worst Mario and Luigi game out of the 5 of them. I won't lie to you, but it's still great. The gameplay is fun as hell. Like Paper Mario is broken in that game, by the way. Like, as a character, he's legit overpowered in a good way. Like, he's so much fun to use in battle and fight with and whatnot. Story-wise, it's lacking, but whatever. It's definitely the worst of the Mario and Luigi games, and it plays like a Mario and Luigi game. It's not a Paper Mario game. It has Paper Mario in it as a character, but it doesn't play like the Paper Mario games at all.
Right.
But I definitely recommend that game. It's definitely a lot of fun. But
yeah. No.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, that's another game technically in the franchise. And then you get to Origami King, and listen, I enjoyed my time with this game. It was fun. I was coming from a place of low lows. It simply could not have gotten any worse, I hoped, than Sticker Star. And again, I was coming off of someone that hasn't played the game that came out in between those two games, and stuff like. And I didn't say it doesn't count. Don't drink. But I don't know. Like this game hit me at a good time. It was very comfy. It wasn't super hard. It was a fun adventure game. And I think you and I have talked about some of our thoughts on this a bit, and I'm curious if your thoughts have changed since you finished the game. But the game itself, the story is entertaining enough. It keeps you interested. It hits a lot of the funny Paper Mario beats and stuff like that. The soundtrack is great. The locales are awesome. They kind of bring back partner characters, which is cool enough. It's just fun having another character there to banter off of and stuff like that. And so that's my spoiler free review of the game. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I don't know how you feel though, so by all means, go off.
Ooh, boy. Here we go again. This is if you want to just shield yourself right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want a TLDR, and by TLDR I mean an hour-and-a-half video, I tweeted yesterday about how I was going to watch Arlo's review of Paper Mario: The Origami King. He's a Nintendo YouTuber and our resident blue furry Muppet. And I watched his because he's really the only game reviewer I trust. I think he's fair and critical and honest in his reviews among everything else. His review of the game, and he broke out with Paper Mario as well. Like his video about like Color Splash, the trailer for that game is what broke his channel out. His review of the game is like an hour-and-a-half long, but it's worth it. I definitely recommend watching that if you can. Definitely look up Arlo stuff, Arlo plays, I think it's just Arlo on YouTube, if I recall correctly. You'll recognize him when you see him. He literally looks like a more friendly version of Cookie Monster. That's what he looks like, straight up. So we could start with mostly the good, Kyle, because I certainly agree with you in the sense that I think the story is the best thing about this game, which is very, very important in a Paper Mario game. Because the identity of Paper Mario, for the most part, up until really Sticker Star, has never been about the paper, which gets mentioned relentlessly. There's so many paper themes in Origami King. Paper this, paper that, paper that. Oh god, this bad guy hit me and I'm crumpled. Like, we get it, you're paper. That happens so much in the game. It's the story. We loved those games for the story, man. Like, there's an arc in... every partner has their arcs in Thousand Year Door. Like, there's, like, Yoshi, who's trying to, like, become the best in the Glitz Pits. There's Bobbery, who's trying to like move past his dead wife. There's Vivian, who is literally a trans character, by the way, and the game is from 2004. So that should express some stuff for you for how progressive and good that game is. Who like deals with like abuse from her sisters. Like that game deals with real themes, as does Origami King, which shocked me a lot. I wasn't expecting some of the stuff in this game. And Kyle, how spoilery are we getting here?
So we're gonna. I think that's a good jumping off point. So if you've made it to this point, if you do not want to be spoiled about how the story of this game plays out, especially because like we both agree it's the best part of the game, buy it for yourself, play it for yourself. It's again it's a $60 game on the Nintendo Switch, but it's worth your time. I think so. So we are now diving into spoiler territory. David, you have the floor.
Mario dies today. He dies today. No,
It's
not
true.
in the game.
It's true.
Mario does not die in Origami King. That game deals with some very real themes that I was not expecting. And whether they threw those in for the right reason, be like, oh, here's some partners or whatever that don't do as much like they did in the old game. Here's some weird battling mechanics that aren't as good as they used to be because it's sort of like the old stuff, whatever. Whether they threw them in for the right or wrong reasons, they were there and they hit me. Bro, I messaged you that summer when it happened. When Bobby sacrifices himself to save Olivia, to blow up the boulder she was on, I'm gone. Like, I'm gone. Why did you do that to me? You didn't have to. You didn't have to talk about him, like, honoring, his friend's legacy as a bomb and giving him, like, the bomb blow-up send-off that he never got to be because he lost his fuse. Bro, come on. That didn't have to hit as hard as it did, but it did. And Mario's fucking face, too, when he realizes he's gonna do it. Like, he's running to him in slow motion, and his eyes, like, just bulge out of his head, and he's got beady eyes, because he's like Paper Mario, too. It's like a black line eyes, so when those things have, like, eyebrows and shit, and there's, like, more... No, that's when shit hit. That's when shit hit the fucking fan. That's how you knew.
Yeah.
That's how you knew that shit hit the fan. And then dude, holy crap. It was real, man. Like, that was a whole scene of a guy avenging his dead friend with his, like, fuse as he put it on his head as a bomb. And he blew up to save Olivia, who is one of the game's sweetest characters, by the way. It's impossible to not love Olivia.
No,
Honest to
she's
God,
great.
she was amazing.
She's
that was my
amazing.
daughter, man.
No,
Yeah, go on.
No, I was gonna say like that was a huge thing for me because I knew nothing. I knew something happens up to that point. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I was like, they're not gonna just like let me hang with Bobby forever. Like they're not gonna let me do that. So like for what I thought it was gonna be, I thought Bobby was gonna have a heel turn. I thought Bobby was gonna try to fight me and stuff like that. I said, yeah, that's fine. I said it. I don't care. But like because the way it sets it up, it's like, oh, I know what I must do now. But we got to go here, and like you go on this journey with this Babam into the middle of the ocean to an abandoned cruise ship, and like it's like the ship is like super creepy, and there's enemies everywhere, and there's stuff to progress and like clear out, and like there's just this very ominous tone like over the entire thing because Bobby's being very like vague about why we're here and stuff like that. So I thought what was going to happen was that, oh God, I'm going to have to fight this character that I've been so endeared towards and like, I don't know, use his body as a means to like get a power to blow up this rock or something. I don't know.
Oh
like,
my God, that would have been even darker.
Yeah, like I thought it was going to go there. I was just like, I was ready for it. And then we get this box. He's like, okay, now we can go back now. And I was like, oh, thank God. Whew, I was afraid we were going to lose Bobby for a second. And then lo and behold, we do, and I drank heavily that night. It was a long night. I was so because and the thing is, it's like in other Paper Mario games, like like in Paper Mario's 1 and 2, the characters, the partner characters are great. Like you mentioned a couple of them and stuff like that. And then you have ones like Koop'd and like other characters in like the earlier games. The partner characters that have names are memorable for a reason because you remember them. And, like, not a lot of the side characters in this game, they kind of have names, but, like, they're all, for the most part, like, pre-existing Mario enemies. Except Olivia just goes on to calling Bobby like Bobby, and it's so funny, and it sticks. It's just this
Mhm.
regular ass name on this regular ass generic like Mario enemy, and um and what I loved about it is that they could have just done like the typical kids video game thing and just like swept under the rug and moved past it. But you spend that next mini dungeon when you go into that cave with Olivia dealing with the grief of losing her friend and stuff like that. And it's like it really tugs at your heartstrings. Like this game got me a couple of times. And that's what I mean by the story being so well written. Like the game, like the battle system is not great near the end. I spent a lot of my time just skipping through those last battles, like spending the money that I didn't spend.
Same.
Yeah, like just spending the money I didn't have to like, hack the system and get through like the generic battles. But my God, the story is just what kept me coming back, man. It was so good.
That's the only thing that really kept me motivated as well, like through so much of the muck of what this game was. Because to describe it, or at least to TLDR it for you guys here, if you want my TLDR thoughts of Paper Mario the Origami King and why I think the game is more than worth it for one playthrough, Origami King is the best rendition. It's the best version of what Nintendo has been trying to turn Paper Mario into for the last 10 years. Sticker Star and Color Splash, especially Sticker Star, were just failures on that end. They tried to turn the game into something else, but those games, again, especially Sticker Star, are just fundamentally flawed because the same resource that you use to progress through the game's story is a finite resource that you use for the battling system. So you spend your coins to get the stickers to use in battle, to waste in battle because you don't get any EXP for using them, to go back to get the coins that you won from those battles, to buy more stickers to use in those same fucking battles because the enemies respawn. The game was so horrendously designed in those fronts. And Color Splash was a big improvement in a lot of regards, but not too many on that front. And I can't judge too much for myself. But if we're jumping right from the good to the bad here, Kyle, game's story, incredible. Game's graphics, incredible. It's the best looking Paper Mario by far. And the story, it's very cinematic at times as well. That same confrontation, like before Olivia gets crushed by the boulder that she's talking about with her brother, the fact that he's up there talking to him, they do it from like a top-down shot and then from like a bottom-up shot as well to like show like the little difference in power dynamics at the time because Olivia doesn't feel as strong enough to defeat her brother yet. That was all there. It had the makings and writings of a very good story, and frankly, the cinematography of one as well. The game was gorgeous to look at. It was a very immersive world for pretty much the sole reasons that the game not only looked better than its predecessors, but there was no world map. It was one big connected overworld again, and I don't think people really realize, or too many people, or enough people, frankly, realize how big of a difference that makes. That makes such a huge difference. My God, in like when you're playing a Paper Mario game, you expect like this overworld for you to be able to walk through, to be immersed in and whatnot, like you did for like the first 2 games. Then the other ones don't have that, and you pick and choose levels on a world map. Super, it makes sense because you're literally traveling through different dimensions and different worlds, so it makes sense that all the levels are different. A Paper Mario game, which is like turn-based RPG style, why is there a world map? Like you're playing a damn like 2D Mario scroller game. Why is that there? It doesn't make any sense at all. It's like those games were fighting with its identity on what they were trying to be, as Origami King was as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Origami King, one of the great things that game does, gets rid of that. Big connected overworld again. That game's highs, Origami King's highs are so high, and its lows are so low. And to talk about the lows now from getting to the high, the battle system. Yep. From a design standpoint, Origami King was horrendous. I'm not gonna lie to you. From like a philosophical game design standpoint, its decisions do not make any sense and proves that Nintendo has such a huge ego and is so what's the esports way I could say, a head-ass decision making on what they decide to put in their games, that they thought that the ring system, which is the battle system in this game, just because it's new, it's good. It's not the case. It was innovation for innovation's sake, rather than making something better. And don't get me wrong, it fixed so many of the old Paper Mario games, or the recent Paper Mario games problems. Like in Color Splash, right? Much like in Sticker Star, you literally can't choose. You can't just choose a move in battle like, I want to jump on this enemy, or I want to hit them with my hammer, and then just do the action command for the move like you do in pretty much every single other Mario RPG. In Color Splash, you literally need to paint in a card, scroll through the whole collection of cards you have to find the right attack you want to do, hold the game's touchpad to color it in, and then do the attack. There's nothing fun about that. It's just a long, tedious process for you to do a simple thing, which this game doesn't completely do away with, but for the most part, it does. You equipped weapons, you literally just, you hit the weapon, you do the move, it's good to go, and you have weapons that are with you, standard boots and hammer, through the whole game that you don't have wasted as resources. So the game fixes a huge problem in that regard. But then, in typical modern Paper Mario fashion, you still have to do all this asinine shit just to do anything. Like the way I've been talking a lot. How does the battle system work in this game, Kyle?
Right. So basically, the way that it works is that the enemies, when you spawn in a battle, they spawn around, like, there's a 4-level like ring grid, and you have X amount of moves to get the enemies in a straight line, because Mario can only attack A directly in front of him, or like B slightly to the side of him with a hammer attack. So there's only 2 angles of which you can actually attack enemies. So the game wants you to line up these enemies like directly in front of you, or like in a square directly in front of you, to hit everybody with as little moves as possible as you can. So you have to either A, turn the wheel, one of the layers of the wheel around, or B, slide it like a slide puzzle. And stuff and you know how that works. See, it's so hard not to. God, I keep
You
thinking about
stopped
it now.
yourself.
Because I know, I'm conscious of it now. It's in my. Get out of my head, Charles. I hate it here.
Let me just grab this here drink.
Yeah, keep sipping. But yeah, the battle system is not great. I will say, the boss battles are great. I think the boss battles are a lot of fun. I think they're creative. I love the fact that the bad guys in this game are literally generic fucking office supplies. I think that's so fucking funny. Like the fact that, I have to confront a hole punch at one point. I have to confront a what was another one? A stapler, like scissors, like evil scissors that sheath and unsheath themselves like katana. Like, it's so funny. I thought that was fun. And it also plays back on the fact that there is no EXP in this game either. The enemies just tend to get stronger as you progress farther in the game. And again, it's fine. Like, the coins that you collect do have purpose. You can buy items, you can buy power-ups, you can buy keychains to give you more time in a battle because you're timed for each of your turns, and stuff and all that. God damn it! I hate it here.
It's not a problem. I literally only pointed it out because I wanted to make the stupid "I'm gonna take a shot" joke. Please don't actually feel self-conscious.
Oh no, I'm just trying to make sure you don't get hammered by the end of this podcast. But
I'm already there.
Oh, here you go. But yeah, the battles. Yeah, I don't know. The battle system's not great.
Yeah, if I could.
Go ahead.
I could not disagree with you more on the boss battles if I tried. I think they are, bar none, the worst part about the entire game.
Really?
Easily. I hated the boss battles to every extent of the word. And you want to know why? It's because the game forces you to literally fail to do any sort of trial and error. It forces you to do trial and error and forces you to fail before you can do anything good, which you can argue that's good game design. You can say, oh, I did this wrong, now I know the right thing to do, so I can actually do the right thing. But that's not even always the case for the battle system. Sometimes it teaches you to do the right thing, right? Like, oh, I need to get the 1,000-fold arms attack from this angle behind the guy to be able to do this. But then the game throws in every possible tedious little menial bullshit thing to make it so you can't do that. And that's not fun. That doesn't create a challenge for the player. All it does is elongate the battle to a point where it doesn't have to get to. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing, sort of. It's like the same sort of equivalent as filling in those dumb cards to do an attack. Because instead of filling out the dumb cards to do an attack, hey, you could just pick a move and do an attack again. But for the boss battles, not only do you have to line stuff up, because the way it works in boss battles is that you don't line up the enemies, you line up a path for Mario to walk towards the enemy. And there are all these little obstacles and stuff that are on like the obstacle course for him to get to. There's a treasure chest that he can reach that lets him throw out other spaces for him to walk on, coins that he can collect and whatnot, hearts to be able to grab, all that kind of stuff and stuff like that. And stuff like that. And it's dumb because sometimes you literally need to go to the chest and rearrange that in such a way just so you can get the on switch for you to be able to activate the magic circles that you need to be able to even hit the boss in the first place. It's like, if this sounds complicated to you, it's because it is. Why are you making me do all these dumb things and like taking away the items that I need when I'm just trying to fight a guy? Why are you doing all this dumb shit? Why are you literally taking away the exact resources I need to defeat the boss that I now know how to defeat, and like forcing me to go through a whole nother turn or a whole nother second turn of the character's same bullshit attack that kills you in one hit, because there are enemies that do that later on in the game, just for me to sit through those stupid cutscenes again. It's like the game doesn't. The only thing you have to lose from messing up is not even necessarily just your life. It's just wasting time. It's like, it's not even, the game forces you to do so much, like rearrange the panels in a certain way, you know, get the treasure chest so I can collect the right resources to attack the guy and whatnot. All so you can just do the basic option of attacking the enemy. It's just annoying at that front. And there were times where I literally stopped playing the game for, I'm not kidding, long periods of time on end, like months, because I hated the battle system that much, or I hated the boss fights that much, because it just made me do all this stupid trial and error that literally was not even fun. The ring system was not fun, all to just fight a guy. And that just proves to me that Nintendo, and you and I as Smash players, Koopa, we know that Nintendo makes some very dumb decisions that have a lot of anti-consumer practices to them. This just goes to show that sometimes they have their heads up their asses when it comes to their quote-unquote innovation. Because the game innovated with the ring system, yes, but it wasn't good innovation. Because it's involved in literally everything for no reason. Some things should be innovated, and some things should be a little less complicated in that regards. And they throw the ring system everywhere where it's not even necessary. There's one sequence, as I'm sure you remember, where you're in a game show, right?
Yes.
And you're in the Shy Guy game show, and you need to progress to get to a certain area so you can color in Bowser Jr. because he rolled around in like some mud or shit and got all dirty, stupid little bastard. And he just, it's dumb because like you roll a roulette wheel, you play a mini game, you learn the answer of the mini game, like say count how many Goombas are in the hot spring, right? And then you count how many Goombas are in the hot spring. That's the mini game, right? That's what tries to challenge you. And then when you get the answer right, do you simply answer the question and like pick and choose what answer you know is right? No, it makes you solve another puzzle to simply answer a question. Why are you overcomplicating this? Why are you doing, that's something that should be simple. Imagine you're taking a test that you studied your ass off for, right? And you're doing all like these, you worked so hard. You're a fucking lawyer, right? And you're trying to pass the bar exam. And you studied your ass off for the bar exam. But then instead of filling out a little checklist of questions, right? Like, oh, the answer's A, the answer's B, the answer's C. It makes you do a whole freaking word search on the next page to find the answer written in words in a giant word search that you now have to solve to get the answer. It's like you know what you're supposed to do, but the game forces you to do another stupid gimmick to even do the right thing, to even progress, and it's not fun in that regard. You remember, and the major spoilers here, same thing, the final boss, Kyle. You're fighting the final boss. You're doing all these like amazing things to fight the boss. You play the second mini game. You got through the first phase, which is a normal boss fight, and then at the end, lo and behold, for no reason, the game gives you like 30 seconds to solve this ridiculously complicated ring puzzle that if you mess up, game fucking over.
Yep.
Why is there a ring there? Why is everything so obsessed with the ring system? Does Nintendo really think that rotating fucking blocks on a board was so innovative that it has to be in every single aspect of the game? Why?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. The whole simulation of an RPG is to make it seem like it's a turn-based battle, to make it seem like this is what Mario's actually doing. Mario being in a ring is not what it's actually doing. This was just some Nintendo dev's idea. They got drunk or some shit, and they were like, hear me out. No, what if instead of here? No, listen to me. Listen. What if instead of cards, we make these fuckers rotate a ring whenever they want to do it? Genius! Oh my god, genius! It's like I would be the guy in that meme comic where you know that meme comic where they say, "All right, guys, we need to find out a solution to do this." Thoughts? And then there was that man and that woman who say, "We should do this, we should do that," and then there's the guy who's like slouched on the table, who's just like saying the actual right answer of what they should do. That's me. I'm the guy who gets thrown out the window. That's your boy right there. You know what comic? It doesn't matter. That's my thoughts on the battle system. It insists upon itself. It feels like just because it's new that it's good, and it's not. It forces itself in its way to the simplest of interactions that should just be simple. All it does is become a time waster that they themselves go back on more than anything else. And do you know why, Kyle? What did you say earlier on in the podcast that you started doing at the end of the game? Just holding the Y button to use the coins, right? So you can just have the puzzle solve themselves, which is an option to do. If the puzzles are too difficult, you could just throw coins to the toads that are in the grandstands and they'll solve it for you. It's like they implemented all this stuff because they knew, okay, this might be too difficult for some people and it's kind of stupid, so we'll just give them a failsafe. And at that point, Kyle, why is it even in the game? Is it an action RPG? Is it an action adventure game? Yes, right? We both agree on that.
Yeah.
So why are you forcing a shitty turn-based thing in there?
Yeah.
Just have a different type of battle system. It's like, why is it even there at that point? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's rough. Near the end of the game, and I don't know. I just like the only real boss fight I struggled with was the ice bear one, which was dumb. Because there's like certain blocks you can't step on because then you get frozen and you have to make a maze to like traverse through. It's definitely annoying. It definitely hinders the game to a crawl. But that final battle with Ollie is a lot of fun where you get to turn into Bowser.
Oh, it was epic.
It was epic.
It was epic.
It was challenging. Yeah. It was fun. And the ending of the game is is very sweet. I definitely shed some tears and stuff like that. And I think I think people should experience that themselves. Play the game.
I agree.
The ending's great. But
it is worth it for one playthrough. I will say that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like 100%. I agree with you. Not like don't 100% this game. It's not. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think you get anything.
Which, by the way, you can't even do if you already played through half of the game. Because you can actually not just 100% the game. You can 102% it. You can 102% the game by what even was it?
It was by like, not game over.
If you like never, one of them is that you can't get a game over the entire game. So if you ever game over at any point, which it's easy to do, there's a challenge in the game where if you win a game show, you have a chance to win more stuff. But then if you lose that extra challenge, you get a game over. Guess what? If you fuck that up, like I did, and you get an instant game over for getting one question wrong after doing everything right beforehand, guess what? You didn't 100% the game. It's so and there's nothing in the game that ever hints at that either. You know what I mean? It's like the game just fucking on top of the battle system. What I will say about Origami King is that the game is constantly arguing with itself. And I felt that when I was playing the game. It literally felt like this game was an incomplete experience because it's trying to be something that it wants to be that Nintendo specifically will not let it be. Because for those of you that didn't know, the Paper Mario characters or the NPCs, they're not as creative looking as they used to be. And that's because somebody, like one of the higher-ups, literally just wants the characters to look more generic. They don't want to delve too far from the Mushroom Kingdom's inhabitants unless they're technically from a different world, which, all the origami characters are and whatnot, and like the office supplies that you fight in boss battles. That's where the uniqueness of the game comes from. But you can't have a Toad that's named like Bob. That's illegal. Yeah. Nintendo will lose their shit. If like Bob comes out of the woodwork, he like finds his way out of his cage, like whatever drunk Nintendo employee left the key too close to the table by his cage and he unlocks it and gets out, someone will get fired. That's not allowed. To the point where even Bobby is technically not even named Bobby. His name is Bob-omb. He says that at the beginning. The only reason he's called Bobby is because that's what Olivia calls him. That's it's like they keep throwing us little bones of the older games that they don't want to do in that front. It's like, how do I put this? There's so many characters that like have like this crazy like developmental arcs, like Bobby has one and whatnot. It's really cool. Like the way that the game has so much more story than it used to be, but then at a certain point, a character can only have its own certain level of uniqueness or backstory without being considered too much. And I'm having a hard time thinking of an example of it off the top of my head, but if you ever play this game for yourself, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's like the game is literally arguing with itself the whole time, trying to be one thing that Nintendo as a company won't let it. And like I said, I'm having a hard time coming up with an example. If you play the game, you'll understand. But yeah, it's just very annoying. It's like the game is constantly hitting its head. Like the best way I can describe it, it's like Origami King is that guy who's trying for the most part successfully to be really, really good to his girlfriend, right? But he keeps accidentally saying sexist shit. He's like, your beauty is like a spring flower. You brighten up the room, my love. But you look so beautiful when you smile. You should smile more. That's Origami King.
Yeah.
It's like trying so hard to be one thing that it wants to be by having a great story and whatnot, like the previous two Paper Mario games or Sticker Star really didn't. And then it just takes it in a completely different direction for either the sake of being new or because Nintendo is so protective of their IPs, which you and I both know as Smash players, Kyle, that Nintendo's overprotectiveness of their IPs holds them back. And I think Origami King is just another example of that, of their ass-backwards ideology.
Yeah, no, I agree. The game, I still argue, and we agree with that. It's worth a playthrough. Even if you've not played a Paper Mario game before, this is a great starting off point, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty easy game. There's nothing, the mechanics don't like bash you over the head with crazy stuff, and then you can go and buy the games that are expensive and still critically renowned. So that is that's it for our hour-long segment on Paper Mario, which is I'm surprised because wow, that was it was a fun game. I enjoyed it, but as is most episodes of Koop'd Up, and again, it is a pop culture podcast, and I'm always looking for whether it be to talk about the things that I've been watching or take suggestions from my friends to see what they've been watching. So David is now I ask you what's some content you'd recommend for me, or what you
I got some
to the people.
I got some content, my friends, and I will say about Paper Mario, you ever feel like you didn't say enough even though you did?
Yes.
That's me when I talk about Paper Mario. we were gonna talk about that quite a lot. To conclude, if you really want my honest thoughts on that game, go watch Arlo's review. I'll just definitely check that out. Look up Arlo on YouTube and watch his review of the game. It echoes everything I feel about that game to the letter. But what I've been watching during quarantine, quite a few things, my friend. And one of them I'm very not surprised. One of them I'm very excited to share with you specifically. But I'll start with the one I've been recently watching, and that is The Venture Bros.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. You ever watch that show?
I have. I love The Venture Bros. So
that's awesome.
It's a great show. It was
watching it for the first time.
Really? Okay. No, dude, it's such a fun show. I remember watching The Venture, like staying up late, past my bedtime as like a shitty preteen, in an era where I wasn't allowed to watch Adult Swim because they said bad words, and I would get in trouble if I watched it. I would stay up to watch The Venture Bros because it is an awesome show. What do you think of it so far?
Dude, it's so sick. I appreciate it not just for its humor, but for what it is artistically and stylistically. What The Venture Bros really is that it's sort of an indirect spoof at all of those like old 60s Hanna-Barbera adventure cartoons. Like it's very like sort of like an adult version of Johnny Quest in that sense. It's about like these two kids who are like literally the Venture Brothers. They solve mysteries together. But instead of being like the guys who were like, wow, Shaggy, we finally found the treasures. Let's see who this guy under the mask is. Old man Jenkins. Instead of actually solving the mystery, they're just like idiots. And they're just completely missing the point of everything that's going around them the entire time. and their father is an inventor who like sells stuff to the government and whatnot. Who have a bodyguard who is Brock Sampson, voiced by Patrick Warburton, who is a OSI, Office of Secret Intelligence agent, that was assigned to guard him because his inventions are worth a lot and he has a lot of arch enemies that try to steal from him. Basically, think of it like an adult Hanna-Barbera cartoon. That's what it is. It's got like this very like big like 60s espionage vibe to it, as not only having a great story but wonderful humor as well on top of it. It can be a little slow at first, but I definitely recommend it if you stick with it for a little bit. It's got such rich characters with amazing voice acting, if I'm being completely honest. Like Dr. Orpheus, oh God, whoever voiced that character, and I'm new to the show, so I haven't learned about it yet or haven't seen it. You should still be getting money for that show. Despite the fact that it ended, you should still be getting paid for that show. Dr. Orpheus is such an awesome character. I definitely recommend that if you're a fan of older cartoons, or if you just like adult animated comedies or adult animated cartoons anyway and stuff like that. Shit! Oh, here we go.
Oh,
there we go.
Yep. That's one. Also, the voice of Dr. Brian Orpheus is Steve Ratazzi, I believe how you pronounce it.
Well, was it what?
It's a Steve. I think it's Steve Ratazzi is how it's pronounced.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear you. I was screaming. Yeah, but on top of that, what I've been watching, I definitely recommend the Venture Brothers. It takes you to so many different settings. It's got Patrick Warburton, who I really love to listen to.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together. It's hard. I like low key need to like move my position from the mic when I try to do my Patrick Warburton impression, because it gets too low to the point where my mic will sometimes not even pick it up. Well, I need to be real close to the mic. Like, hey, Peter. All right, there it is. I'm sure you wanted me to say that at some point on the show.
Listen, man, you can't not do it when you talk about Patrick Warburton. It's hard not to not go into Joe Swanson or Kronk.
Hey, Peter.
Or wasn't he also? I think he was also.
Wish your house had a wheelchair ramp. That's okay. I can wait.
I also forget he was Elaine's boyfriend in Seinfeld. So,
yeah.
God, what a great side character.
Gotta support the team.
Yeah, that's true. Give me what else you've been watching. You've been hinting to me about what this is for like a week now, and I have no idea what it is. So
I'm about to make you semi-proud. Okay. Semi-proud, all right? Okay. You're a big fan of reality television, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that with one of your guests beforehand. I think on your second or third episode, it might have been.
You're correct.
I completely watched through half of it for the first time, or most of it for the first time, since I only watched up to the second season as a kid. I completely watched Total Drama Island.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember that show?
Yes, these animated the Canadian animated television series that is a ripoff of popular reality television show Survivor. I now see where you're going with that. And I'm going to expose myself here. I've never seen Total Drama Island before.
Oh, you'll love it. Love it, Kyle.
So give me the gist. Give me the rundown of Total Drama Island.
Okay. Total Drama Island. It's an awesome show, which, by the way, before I even start talking about it, believe it or not, despite how old of a show it is, Kyle, this is recent news, by the way, it got picked up for 2 more seasons.
Wow, really? Jesus.
I'm dead serious. They're bringing that show back.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was like destiny, because they announced that like right after I finished watching it. I'm like, imagine watching a super old show. Like, imagine watching through like Parks and Rec or The Office, and like for the first time, right? Old shows, whatever. And then the second you finish that show, and it's the show that ended in like 2004, whatever year, how old it is, then like the next day they announced they're rebooting it, or like they're not even rebooting it, that they're making new seasons of it.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Happened to me. It was wild. Yeah, I'm like, as soon as I ran out of it. So, Total Drama Island, right? It is essentially a parody of Survivor, basically. It's it's a self-aware, so it's not actually a reality show. It's a cartoon. It's an animated cartoon, right? Sort of like for the preteen age, if you would. It's got like some mature humor in there, but not mature enough to be considered like an adult comedy, but it has like adult themes that you'll understand way more as a grown-up. Like watching the show as an adult, all the stuff that went over my head when I was young, oh boy. Definitely hits you like a truck, like Shrek. You know,
Oh,
that
I'm
movie
sure.
has so many
100%.
adult. Yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, so basically it's all these teenagers who are like 16, 17, 18 years old. They're all brought out to an island to compete in a reality show called Total Drama. And it's hosted by a guy named Chris McLean, who's got this very like semi Canadian accent, but the guy's also insane and makes them do really dumb stuff. And then there's also the co-host of the show, who is also the chef, who was like this ex-Marine Corps or whatever dude. And it's just the show is literally like, it plays out like a reality show, right? It's like it's a kid's show technically. It's like a comedy and whatnot. Like a lot of silly things happen to it. A lot of vomit and jokes and a lot of relationship jokes and drama and whatnot, that kind of stuff. It sort of amplifies the gross out factor and like relationship like ship factor that happens in normal reality shows, and amplifies that shit up to a 10 because it's fiction, basically. Because now they like, it's like instead of being reality TV, it's completely scripted and not partially scripted like reality television is, you know, like where whatever happens, but they'll write out like a specific like event or whatever for the cast of Survivor to do, and then whoever wins, whoever doesn't. Instead, it's scripted, but it's like set in a world where it is a reality show. So it's technically, think of it like a scripted animated reality show with a great story on top of it as well, and like such a rich cast of characters. That's one of the things that makes the show amazing. Because you know what reality shows do, and reality shows like Survivor, Kyle, they hire people on, or like they don't hire people on. They pick auditions essentially based on the uniqueness of the person compared to who else they picked. They literally want stereotypes on those shows. They want the jock,
Sure.
they want the nerd, they want the cheerleader, they want like, oh, the hot chick, they want like the teacher's pet. Whatever sort of stereotypes you can think of, this show has them up to like a 10. Basically, the show is like full of like a bunch of very like stereotypical characters, like the goth chick, the crazy hot chick, the delinquent, the bitch, the the fun-loving fat guy, the party frat boy, whatever. A whole huge cast of those characters all meshed in together like that, and it plays out like a reality show. Like as the show nears its end, you literally become very curious as to who you want to win. It's like watching it. It feels like you're watching a regular reality show half the time. And it's not. It's like a scripted animated cartoon. You know,
Wow.
that's part of the magic of it, really. And I love it too. And on top of like being something that I think actual reality TV enjoyers could enjoy, because let's be real, I mean, no disrespect, but some of the stuff you watch is scripted and pretends not to be, which is totally fine. But this show, I think a lot of reality TV people could love for that reason. Plus, every season has like a different theme as well that continues based on the lore of what happens to like the protagonist in between seasons. Like the second season is like completely movie themed. The third one is like a tour around the world, but it's also a musical at the same time. Like every episode has like a musical number in it. And the fourth one has a completely new cast where the island is like completely radioactive. Fifth one's like an all-star season. Sixth one's a new cast on a different island. And then the final season is like a giant race around the world. It's very cool stuff. It, like I said, it feels like a reality show without watching a reality show. It's like it's like a fake reality show when some reality TV is already fake, if you would. It sort of plays on that whole thing, plays off the
Wow.
stereotypes of human beings, and pretends to, I don't know how to describe it. It pretends to be something it isn't, yet it somehow is that thing at the same time, which is why I told you that you would be semi-proud of me, because it's like, it's kind of like the television you watch, but it's not at all. A little bit.
No, that's funny.
That's
like,
why
yeah.
I was looking forward to telling you.
No, that's awesome. And I've always like circled around like Total Drama Island, like in like, you know, the spheres that I watch, because I obviously watch a lot of like Cartoon Network and like shows of the like when I was a kid. So it was something that I'd always like see, and I was like, I don't feel like watching this right now. And then I know a couple of people, and like as an adult now, that like they've watched the show and they like it a lot. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of reality television. I've spoken about it at length. I love Survivor. It's one of my favorite shows on TV, and it's also recommends Great Binge. All 40 seasons available on Paramount Plus. That is
Good God, 40.
yeah.
Woo!
And it just
Congratulations.
Yep. And I've watched every single season at least once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I'm a crazy person, but no, that it's funny because like what you just described just like hits all like the beats of like reality television and also parodying Lost, where like the island is part of like a character in the show in itself, which is really funny. So I think I'm always like in the hunt for new shows to watch and stuff like that. You know, yeah, I'm giving you that one for free, but
Thank you, sir.
yeah, and I'm always looking for new things to watch, just as like I'm working or like doing whatever around the house. So I think Total Drama Island will move somewhere into that list. I will get to it eventually once I get through all the other things I need to watch, which is a lot. And I'm going to tell you about two things that I've been watching recently, because we've kind of gotten away from this. Well, not really gotten away from it, but like the last couple of episodes, we've been very topical amongst other things. The first thing I'll recommend. Is Close Enough, a show that I know that you've watched, stuff like that. We just talked about it yesterday. It is from the creator of a Regular Show. It is available on HBO Max. It has 2 seasons out. And if you're familiar with Regular Show, it's I don't even know how to describe Regular Show to people that haven't seen it before. Do you have a how would you describe Regular Show to someone that's never seen it before?
It's anything but.
It's true. Yeah,
that's the slogan. That's the show's slogan.
Yeah, I mean, at one point it goes into space. Like, it's wild. Yeah, it was created by a.
You ever on a show where like two people have like rock paper scissors and they rock paper scissors 100 times tying in a row and it opens up the portal to another dimension. Like the show is asinine. And it's literally anything but. Like, it's just the reason it's called Regular Show is because it's self-aware of how outlandish it is. Like, it's got a bit of a formula to it that I agree, Kyle. It's hard to describe. You'll have to watch it to understand. But yes, close enough.
Yeah, it's created by J.G. Quintel. If you're not familiar with either of these two shows, you might be familiar with some of his earlier work, where he was a writer and a storyboard artist on Camp Lazlo, which is one of my favorite shows as a kid growing up. Because it felt like a new-ish age version of Rocko's Modern Life, which eventually ties into the show at some point, ironically enough.
Wild. Yeah, so wild that they did that.
So crazy. So to this day blows my mind. And I absolutely love Camp Lazlo. It's an underrated Cartoon Network show from the mid-2000s. And he was the creative director on The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. Again, super underrated cartoon. Really, really great cartoon that I liked a lot. But he's the creator of Regular Show and Close Enough. And Close Enough is it's in some ways it's more like realistic. Like it's much more in the real than Regular Show. And by that I mean that like there's more like tangible human beings doing things versus like anthropomorphic blue jays and I forget what Rigby is.
Whatever the fuck Rigby is.
Yeah, I guess he's a rat. I don't even. Yeah, whatever Rigby is.
I think he's a squirrel.
I think he. I'm not gonna. I don't want Regular Show Twitter to cancel me.
Like that show has a talking gumball machine. It's got it all.
Yeah, High Five Ghost, also voiced by J.G. Quintel. Funny enough. High Five Ghost. It's such a great show, man.
Oh, good show, jolly good show.
Yeah, but
I love the Glentendo podcast.
But oh man, yeah. So the premise of Close Enough, it's about a couple in their mid-30s and a 5-year-old daughter who live with their divorced friends in Los Angeles. And it takes like domestic issues such as like being too old to go into a bar, and they like turn it on their head. And like into these like hyper realistic like one-off monster of the week type episodes. It's super funny. If you like the borderline adult humor Regular Show, you're gonna love the like fully realized adult humor of this show. It features some pretty famous people like in the voice cast. Jason Mantzoukas is a voice actor in this show. He
Oh.
and Kimiko Glenn from Orange Is the New Black and Into the Spider-Verse. If you're familiar with her work, she's great. And JJ Quintel also provides the voice of the main character in the show Josh. So it's great. It's got 2 seasons out now on HBO Max. I highly recommend everybody watch it if you're into that sort of like, adult animated, like edgy, surreal humor stuff. It's awesome. I've been really enjoying it as like my background screen show. And my second recommendation, because I simply can't get enough of the superhero medium, this show just launched on Amazon Prime, which is a streaming service I forget exists, quite frankly, sometimes because there's so many that I have to keep up with. I am currently watching the first season of Invincible. And my God, I
never heard of that.
So let me give you the rundown. Invincible is a comic book series, produced by Image Comics. It is written by Robert Kirkman, who was well known by being the writer and co-creating the Walking Dead comics. If you're into the Walking Dead, this comics ran from 2003 to 2018. It got picked up by Amazon Studios, and I believe is being produced by it has some connection to like the Seth Rogen, like Evan Goldberg tandem, who also worked on The Boys, and have worked on a bunch of other things together. Seth Rogen also is in the show as a bit part. So they're tied to it. It's really hard to talk about this show without spoiling the concept of it. So I basically all I'll tell everybody is watch the first episode. If you're into The Walking Dead, it gets there. It gets violent. It gets gross. I love the sort of spin on the superhero story of like a superhero family. It's again a star-studded cast, including many people from The Walking Dead, like Stephen Yeun, comic book prop media legend J.K. Simmons shows up in this show.
Ooh,
they got a
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. And also Jason Mantzoukas also pops up in this show. Gillian Jacobs from Community fame shows up in this show. It's really, really star-studded. It's I believe it's signed on for an 8-episode first season. For its first iteration, but I think it's signed on for like 2 seasons or 3 seasons through Amazon. It's so good. The first 3 episodes are out now on Amazon. They're so good. I might actually buy a comic book for the first time in 15 years and read through it. It's that good.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm hooked. I'm obsessed with the superhero medium. It is flush with great shit right now. WandaVision was awesome. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is kicking ass right now, and I will find time to talk about those shows another day whenever they're all finished and complete. But Invincible, it's like nothing I've ever seen before in a superhero comic. My jaw was taped to the floor after the first episode. It was that fucking good. So
jaw to the floor, my friend. That's a serious tagline to describe a show with, my friend.
And also Mark Hamill's in this show. And like
starting to peak and Mark Hamill. There you go. I was gonna say you're piquing your boy's interest over here. And now you just tipped it over the cliff like it's the fucking sled from the Grinch. Which actually didn't tip over the cliff in the first place. So I guess that's not the best analogy now that I think about it. But you get what I mean. It sounds dope.
Yeah, just like reading
like
through,
a dope show.
Just like reading through like the people that like have even just like one-off like characters like voices in the show. Gray Delisle or Gray Griffin, if you're familiar with any of her work, she's voices a somewhat recurring character in this show through the first couple of episodes. Mark Hamill, Mahershala Ali, Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty fame has a bit part in the show. John Hamm voices a character in the first episode. Like they got some like real ass people to sign off for the show. Yeah.
Jonathan Numerals?
Yes.
I would love to see Jonathan Numerals in that show. But no, John Hamm. Yeah, John Hamm is dope. One of my favorite roles of his is Loki in Baby Driver. Have you seen that? Yeah.
Yes, I love that movie.
I
so
love that movie. That movie literally takes it not only just has a wonderful story and characters, but it's also just it mixes in it blurs the line between diegetic and non-diegetic sound in a way that no other movie I really has that I've really seen has. It makes it apparent in times and other times not. Like there's a whole sequence where like the main character is like running away and there's this heavy rock music playing, specifically the song Hocus Pocus by Focus.
Yes.
Literally, yeah, I realize how funny that sounds. Literally the name of the song, literally the name of the band. It's Hocus Pocus by Focus. I wasn't trying to make a rhyme anytime or be a poet when I didn't know it. That's literally just
bars.
That's literally yeah, no, it was definitely Bars the Journey. Yeah, but that movie, it mixes in the diegetic and non-diegetic sound, which if you don't know what that means, non-diegetic sound is sound that does not exist within the world of the movie. Like you're watching like an action movie or whatever, two guys are fighting and you hear this orchestra in the background and stuff. There's no orchestra in the scene, but you hear the music playing. That means the music does not exist in the world of the story, as opposed to diegetic sound, which would be the sound of like a character walking or something, something that's happening in the world of the story. And what Baby Driver does is that it mixes in the two and blurs the lines by syncing up the sounds and the pitch even with what is happening in the movie. Like there's one scene where like one of the main characters is like shooting at the cops and the bullet's pitch literally matches, or like the bullet's pitch or like the bullet's like rhythm, if you would, completely matches the tempo and the pitch of the whatchamacallit, of the actual music, the non-diegetic music playing. Like it just blurs the line between those two things like every now and again in between that movie, and really plays with sound in a way that personally no other movie I've really seen has. I mean, other movies play with sound in a more subtle way, like 1917, which I also saw in the theater a while back, which it sucks that people, if you haven't seen that movie, that you're not going to get to see it in a theater, or most likely not get to, because that is how that movie is meant to be watched. It's all like one giant shot, like about like one soldier's experience in World War I and his journey to try to get across no man's land. But yeah, it's definitely cool how like that movie plays with sound. But yeah, John Hamm was in that movie, and he was the main villain in that movie, which was not something I'd ever seen him in. You've never seen him in like a main antagonist role, but there he was, and he did a great job at that. So yeah, dude, the fact that Jonathan Hamm was in that show, that's also a pretty good it's a pretty good selling point right there, if you ask me.
Yeah, he's in it through the first couple of episodes. I hope that they continue to show the trajectory, bits from his character and stuff like that. And the show looks great. I highly recommend it. And also, just by looking through John Hamm's IMDb page, he's not only just like littered across like TV and film, he's also going to be appearing in another superhero property coming out in May. Hulu has a stop motion show based off of the Marvel villain MODOK coming out in May, and John Hamm will be providing the voice of Iron Man in that show.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it features the voices of John Hamm and Nathan Fillion, Bill Hader, and Ben Schwartz of John Ralphio fame, and also Sonic the Hedgehog. So yeah,
you had to bring up, oh god, Ben Schwartz. No, I thought we were gonna go the whole podcast without bringing up Ben Schwartz.
No, well, it's listen, man. Just like
he's the worst.
Oh man, I can't wait to. I'll find some excuse to talk about Parks and Rec in depth at some point on this show.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll figure that out one day. But
yeah, if you're gonna do that, will you be able to have me not necessarily on the podcast, but somewhere nearby? Because technically, I'm homeless.
Yeah, David, I think you just signed up to do the next Koopa Top 5, which will be my top 5 favorite sitcoms of all time. So I think you just penciled yourself in shoehorned yourself in for that one in like 3 months.
Woo! Money, please.
Oh,
Money,
God.
please.
All right. Well, before I have before I go into a red face, blight of pain and shrimp wall via Roy Hibbert. But we have reached the end of our destination for this episode, folks. And David, I gotta applaud us. We kept it under 8 hours. I'm very happy and proud of us for being able to do so. We did not tangent that hard. We got in all of the points, and we talked about touched all the Koop'd bases. So all the fans are are going to be satisfied. And
Yes.
listen, this is a lot of fun, and thank you for indulging me and wanting to sit down and talk about Paper Mario and Total Drama Island for an hour and a half.
My absolute pleasure, my friend. I had a blast.
Yeah, so let the people at home, David, know where they can find you and listen to you, because you are also a creator of content.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My main shtick nowadays, besides being an esports commentator for literally the same game that Kyle plays because he was my mentor for said game, definitely you can check me out at Smash Tournaments by following me on my Twitter at Nintoonist. If you want to know the latest whereabouts of me, that is at Nintoonist. That's Nintoonist, because I do have to spell it for people. We never got to that meme talking about the lore of Nintoonish, but it's not really important. So I guess that's why that never came up. But you really want to know my main shtick nowadays, and if you want to support me in my endeavors, I have a podcast myself. It will be going up the day before this one is up, so the latest episode is already on your favorite your favorite podcast listening platform as we speak. It is called the Double D Experience. It is a comedy banter variety podcast that I co-host with my good friend Dennis, who somehow has less of a filter than I do. Like that man
yeah,
will get me canceled one day. I'm just kind of waiting for it. I'm mentally preparing myself, bracing myself for it. As soon as I'll get my COVID shot, but it's not going to matter because I got canceled by one of my best friends. But no, all memes aside, I love my good buddy Dennis. He's a historian. I'm an esports commentator. We talk about pretty much anything and everything under the sun on that podcast, whether it be, Trump's hairline to the latest news in the media to your favorite porn star being added to Smash Brothers, anything under the sun. It's a very nonsensical podcast. And to describe it for you, we have just enough structure to support our lack of structure on that podcast. So if you're looking for a podcast that's really just, sort of like either talks about serious topics on any given day or, laughs about nothing or something incredibly inappropriate on the day after the same one, or if you just want something to listen to in the background to make you laugh occasionally, that is what we strive to do over there. And it is our baby that we somehow conceived as two men and birthed as a digital manifestation of auditory media. If you want to support me and if you want to pretty much see what else I do in the realm of content creation, that is where I do it. It's called the Double D Experience. We're pretty much everywhere you get your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, blah, 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 all that good stuff, as well as my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Nintoonist. So if you're curious about any content I make, that's pretty much my main shtick nowadays. And if you want to go support that would mean the world to me if it sounds like something you're interested in.
Yeah, and listen, I highly recommend it. It's always a laugh. You and Dennis are a lot of fun. And
oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, of course. And of course, if you guys are interested in listening to me more, you could of course follow me on the Twitter at KoopaNJ. Follow me on Twitch at KoopaNJ, where I stream multiple times a week. You can follow the show on Twitter.com at Twitter.com or at Koop'd. Email us questions at Koop'd@gmail.com. And listen, subscribe to us on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Podbean, Pod something. They're everywhere. I highly recommend you guys check us out. And that's gonna be it for this week, folks. And tune in next week for more shenanigans from my side of the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves a wonderful evening.
Goodbye, everyone.